And top stories always brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder, as well as Vodafone. It has been a mass mobilization that started on social media that is now set to manifest on the streets. In the last few minutes, police have confirmed they have received an official notice by those behind the hashtag Fix the Country social media campaign for a mass protest this Sunday, May 9th. They insist enough is enough. Hashtag Fix the Country has been top of the trends on social media, particularly Twitter, with over 50,000 tweets so far since yesterday, with users expressing their frustration with the high cost of living in Ghana, as well as public dissatisfaction against political leadership. Well, we're seeing this now become manifest now in some way on the streets. Now, there have since been various counter trends, either defending government's handling of the living conditions or calling for action. And the hashtags Fix Yourself, Black Tuesday, Ghana is being fixed, or Let's Fix Ghana Together, or trending. My colleague Ernest Menu has a copy of this letter that has been written to the police and joins me in the studio with details of it. Ernest, what does the letter say?
So there's a letter to the police, and it says that notice of intention to exercise constitutional right under Article 21 1D and F of the 1992 Constitution, compliance with statutory requirements to give notice. We write with reference to Section 1 of the Public Order Act, Act 491, which provides that any person who desires to hold any special event within the meaning of the Act in any public place shall notify the police of his intention not less than 5 days before the date of the special event. In this connection, kindly note A, that's the date. This special event will be held on May 9th, 2021. B, significance of the date. The date May 9 has been spontaneously and specifically chosen for two reasons. First, it captures the restless spirit of over 126 Ghanaians who lost their lives in the May 9 Accra Sports Stadium disaster due to the institutionalized incompetence and disregard for Ghanaian lives. Secondly, the protest commemorates the 26th anniversary of the Kumi Preko, undying culture of protest and dissent that has forged our democracy, which Kumi Preko has become a synonym for in our collective memory.
This is this Sunday they are talking about. They're going to haste receive. So we're going into the specifics of why they found the need to take this from online onto the streets. But let me bring in Madame Efia Tenge, who speaks for the Accra Regional Police Command and joins us on the telephone line right now. Madame Tenge, can you confirm if you have received this letter?
Hello, good evening, Evans.
Great to have you.
Yes, I can confirm that the Regional Police Command this afternoon received a letter from two conveners who are planning on an intended demonstration on the May 9th.
Normally, when the police receives such notifications in accordance with the Public Order Act, what happens?
Okay, the notification to the police to organize a demonstration is provided by the Public Order Act. And so once we receive a notification from any organizer, group of people planning on such a demonstration, what we do as a command is to invite them. We sit down, we look at the letter, look at the merit of the letter, and if there's anything the police needs to take note of and advise the group as such, whether the letter in a way endangers public safety, whether the police has the numbers to protect the demonstrating public. We take all these into consideration, the routes. Then the police decide on what action to take based on the discussion between ourselves and the groups who are intending to embark on this demonstration.
So safe to say you'll be inviting them for a sit-down conversation?
Sorry?
Safe to say you'll be inviting the conveners for a sit-down conversation?
Actually, today when they brought the letter was signed by two people, and the conveners they actually turned in the letter. And so the regional command took the opportunity to meet them and we brought to their attention the restrictions on public gathering, especially with particular attention to large gatherings like demonstration. And so they were informed of our inability to give them the necessary protection until such a time that the restrictions are lifted. And so, in accordance with the Public Order Act, the Regional Command also gave them a written letter in that response. And so the Regional Command has communicated to them through writing that the restrictions on impositions are still in force. And as such, the police will not be able to provide the necessary security looking at the spread of the COVID and the kind of dangers that it poses to members of the public should they attend this demonstration. And so the Regional Command made its intention known to them and has given them a written letter in that response.
So, as it stands now, if they choose to go ahead, they do so at their own risk.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. First of all, we have written to them, told them why we think that it is not safe for anybody to join such a demonstration. And so the Public Order Act also gives the police other alternatives, other ways that the police can exhaust if the demonstrating organizers refuse to comply with what the police is saying. We are also waiting for them on their response on that though. But after that, we'll also sit down and also see what next line of action to take as a command.
If they insist, what other avenues are there for the police to pursue?
The avenue of going to the court is there to seek a restriction or a prohibition order on the demonstration is there. It is something that the police have resorted to. That is one that is not new for the police. And so we expect and we hope that they will comply with advice that have been given by the police in view of the COVID-19. And so we wait for them. Let us not assume that they will not comply or adhere to what the police has advised. We wait until they also write to us. For now, we have not received any formal response from them. And we believe that based on
Hello, Madam Tenge.
advice.
Okay. Hello, Madam Tenge, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I noticed from their letter that they spell out in detail how they plan to make this COVID, safety protocols compliant, including, the appropriate distances, the social distancing, wearing of face masks, etc. Isn't that enough?
Evans, we cannot guarantee that. There is no way we can be able to guarantee for a fact that such a large demonstrating public, looking at what they are saying, they are going to mobilize people through the breadth and length of this country to demonstrate. We cannot guarantee that. And so we cannot also guarantee the safety of people who would join for that demonstration. And as a matter of fact, let us state it clearly that there is an imposition of restrictions that is banning such large gatherings. Let us advise people to do what the law says and not look for ways by which people can go behind and have their way. I think for now, these large public gatherings have been suspended. And so the police would wish that they comply with that. And the police have nothing to say.
Thank you very much, Madam Tenge, for your time.
All right, thank you.
So that is, of course, as this begins to develop, we're beginning to learn more. As you just heard there, this planned protest on Sunday, May 9th, according to the police, they cannot provide security, the protection for them under the COVID rules. Remember that under the Public Order Act, the police has no say, really, in whether or not you can proceed on the constitutional right of protesting on the street. However, they can seek a court order to stop you if you insist on doing so. as it is right now, it is only the protesters who will have to, as you said, respond to the police position on the protest. And thankfully, I've just been joined by one of the conveners of this particular protest that was scheduled to take off on Sunday. Mr. Baker Vormawo joins us via Zoom right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Top Story. We just heard that the police say that they've written back to you and your team that they cannot provide the protection for you, and that this protest should not go ahead because of COVID-19 protocols and the restrictions that is in law. Your reaction?
Thanks, Evans, for having me for the conversation. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So first of all, I think I want to reframe again, because it bears emphasis, the point of this. Okay, I have said on several other occasions that what we see this as a battle for the soul of this country. And by God, we must win this fight. This is not just an amenities protest. We have failed citizens of this country. We have made them feel small, belittled them till they have lost their voice. We have continuously undermined their confidence and discouraged them from even thinking that they have a stake in how this country improves. It is that soul that we must restore back to this country. And this is a country that was formed by protest and a refusal to settle. We have refused the colonial yoke through protest and a belief in the justice of our cause. As far as I understand it, this is the same urge that propelled our founding fathers on, that allowed them to persevere even in the face of foreign dominators who try to break their spirit. So this is the context of the conversations we want to have. Now, if that spirit and relentless conviction that carried our fathers forward, we believe that we can channel the same to have substantive conversations about how we improve our lot as a country. Now, regarding the police response that you just got to, yes, I can confirm that the police have in fact indicated in a letter to us that they cannot, and I'm choosing my words carefully and repeating them, they cannot accept our request to parade people through the streets. These are their words, not mine. Now, first of all, we made no request of the police. We just simply notified the police. So there was no request made. So for which they're saying that they're refusing the request, it's a bit baffling. But this is a legal conversation that we need to have. It is part of this process that we improve the substance of our democracy. I mean, it's what we anticipated even before we launched this as a protest movement. A lot of people said, they are not going to allow you to do this. It has been the consistent MO even before COVID. COVID just adds another reason for why they would say this. Now, one of the things we said, and you have pointed this out clearly, that we took the pains to indicate clearly how we intend to comply with COVID-19 health directives. The police does not address this. They do not say anywhere at all. It would make the letter public in due time. Anywhere at all how the COVID-19 measures we decide to put forward measure up or not. This is our sense, and this is what we've said in our letter, that we noticed with regret that for nearly 18 months since the outbreak of the COVID-19 health emergency, the government has not developed any protocols whatsoever for how public assembly for the purpose of exercising the right to freedom of assembly can take place. Yet, despite this, and despite the fact that they put in place COVID restriction measures, which they lift haphazardly, depending on when they want to, we've had several public gatherings which have been organized by the state, including political rallies, voting exercises, and other public events during the same period. Now, the government, by its own example, has shown us that it is possible for public gatherings, especially in outdoor spaces, to be carried out without significant risk of the spread of infections. And it is here that I must point out that throughout November 2020 to January 2021, the Minister for Information, Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, continuously challenged any claims that political gatherings can lead to any increases in COVID-19 cases. So we know that it is possible to organize public gatherings and public events and be COVID compliant. This is on the government's own account. So we are sure that if public gatherings gathering thousands of people, including a voting exercise which entailed 13 million Ghanaians, did not lead to a rise in new infections, then in the same way in which we exercise our constitutional right to vote, we want to be able to exercise our constitutional right to hold the government to account through a conversation. And this is what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean,
And we believe that this is
Mr.
possible.
Vormawar, just for clarity, do I hear you say that in spite of the police's position to you tonight, you are going to go ahead on May 9th with this street protest?
What I'm saying to you is that how we are going to proceed is going to be grounded in law. As far as we understand, the police have acted themselves outside the bounds of law, and we have a constitutional responsibility to disregard unconstitutional conduct. Now, in that process, within the Public Order Act, there's a framework for dialogue with the police, and we intend to use that dialogue to remind them why they do not have the right to do so. It's a conversation. Like I'm saying, it's a process we are engaged in for the benefit of the country and not against the country. Now, if the police deems it that they ought to go to court, then we are more than ready to have that conversation with the court as well, that they assess whether or not it is impossible for constitutional rights, specifically the right of assembly, to be exercised, no matter what precautions are taken. This is the kind of conversation we want to be able to test our democracy for.
So do I hear you say you have a two-pronged approach to dealing with this latest police position? One, you want to go back and try and convince them through dialogue why they should go ahead. And second, if they decide to go to court to get an order to stop you, you are ready to fight them in court.
So there's, in fact, the same and one approach. And that approach is based on law, that we are going to proceed on the basis of law. Law requires that we engage the police within the framework of the Public Order Act. And that's what we are going to do. And once we do that, they can proceed and go to court. And we believe that the judiciary has a stake in the protection of constitutional rights. The conversation then shifts to them as to whether or not the powers the police is claiming, the arguments they are advancing, fits the constitutional measure for how constitutional rights can be exercised even within the framework of the public health emergency.
Let me ask for clarity. You say you're going to have a conversation, and you're putting the May 9th event within that broad framework. Is it going to be a protest march, as in you move from one location to the other in making your protest? As we know, traditional street protests in Ghana takes the shape of. Is that what you're planning to do?
In its current form, we anticipate that we are going to start, and the Independence Square will be a gathering point. And we've chosen our locations specifically with an eye towards the history of this country. So we are meeting at the Independence Square because of what it evokes in us as Ghanaians who fought for that independence. From there, we would move and proceed along the February 28th road. And every Ghanaian, no matter how young you are, understand the significance of evoking people, Ghanaian citizens, who have suffered abuse at the hands of authorities that refuse to respect their humanity and the constitutionality of their rights. So we are choosing our locations and the way we are moving very carefully with an eye on the history of this country. That's including in respect of that history, we have the May 9th event. For us, May 9th signifies.
Yeah, I mean, before we even come
Yes.
to the significance of it, this is, from what you've defined, this is a march. If this is a march, it's different from the political rallies, which is located in a particular immobile space. You are going to move. That then definitely becomes a major spreader of COVID-19 as people gather and the crowds grow. Even for you, you cannot control that particular motion of people in the time of COVID. You cannot guarantee the safety.
So this is what we're going to do. First of all, let me talk about the suggestion that the political rallies happen in an enclosed space where people couldn't move. That, as you have explained it, carries a higher risk of COVID infections than moving freely. That's the first thing. Again, we've been consistently seeking advice of public health officials. There's so many of them with rich resources who have advised us on how to proceed. Most importantly, we've characterized this as a socially distanced march. And we have
but how do you maintain social distance when people are in constant motion in their numbers?
So this is how you do it. First of all, we've had situations where groups of people are able to organize themselves and proceed proceed in a manner which conforms with how they've been with the rules they have laid out for themselves. Unless we are saying that we are such a country that Ghanaian citizens cannot come together and march in a way which respects measures that they have put down for themselves.
No, I mean,
So
these are not any kind of. This is COVID-19 we are talking about, and they are distances.
There's no question about it.
Yes.
But within COVID-19, there are measures which minimize the risk of spread. We've held funerals in this country, even state-sanctioned funerals. There's so many people at the former President Rawlings' funeral. And I bring up former President Rawlings because, again, he's somebody whose stature and his motivations resonate with us as we're organizing this. So we've held public events where people have moved and proceeded. They went in procession to pay respect to the former president's body. We can do this. So let us not pretend as if it is impossible to do this at all.
Yeah.
But within that same context, I want to clarify that we have made it clear that even in the way in which we are going to set forth and move, and that's why we want to meet at the gathering point before we start moving forward. Only people who live in the same household can be allowed to congregate and work together as a group. If you're not from the same household, we are not going to allow. You're not going to do this. So everybody who is coming to the match is coming forward, knowing that you have a government or an institutional framework that is bent on denying you this right. And so it's not a right we take lightly, and we intend to observe as much as possible to make the case that it is possible to observe constitutional rights within public health situations.
When do you intend to meet the police again?
As far as we understand that we have a window of 48 hours to respond to that. And on that point, I must say that it's a bit disappointing that the police are using the language of COVID-19, yet they have no measures in place for receipt of notices other than going into the office, which requires this.
Okay, I mean,
so it's almost a schizophrenic response, really, if you ask me. So that to be insisting on one thing and lack procedures that would ensure the other one.
So in the next,
but we intend to engage them within the next few hours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vormawar, Baker Vormawar, who of course is one of the conveners of this particular protest. If you're just joining us, the police say they cannot protect or provide men to shepherd and guard this particular protest, and that they wish that this protest doesn't go ahead. The police have written back to the protesters, who have written to them asking that they're notifying them of this protest on Sunday. Police say we cannot provide you with protection, and the police have threatened to go ahead to court and get an order to stop it if they insist. You've heard a clarity there, and they plan to indeed go ahead, but they first want to have a conversation with the police. Remember that this started on social media. One of the highest profile members of the governing party who have so far joined this, the opposing side, the other side of the argument, has been the majority chief whip in Parliament, Mr. Ano Dompre. He went on social media and joined the opposing hashtag, which is hashtag. Kweku joins me with details of this. What was the hashtag that Mr. Ano Dompre joined?
Hashtag is please fix yourself first.
Okay.
And so Mr. Ano Dompre posted a picture and said, fix the country, fix the country. It says you don't pay your taxes, you politicize every good policy, you receive bribes, you enjoy illegal connections, you don't respect your elders, you overprice your product and services, you destroy state properties, you don't keep your environment clean, you don't go to work on time, you chase teenagers who are even young to be your daughters. In fact, you even cheat on your wife stroke husband. Please fix yourself first.
Okay.
And so this came with such a barrage of criticism.
Backlash.
And this post was taken down with an apology.
So he came back with an apology.
Yes,
what do you say?
I would like to apologize for an earlier tweet which failed to convey both seriousness of the times and to capture the essence of what the youth is demanding. Throughout my time in public office, I've always known that a collective action and responsibility are important, and I've displayed this since 2017. We shall succeed in making Ghana a better place. And he says that post was made by a handler, not himself.
Not himself. Thankfully, he joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Ano Dompre, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Safe to say you misjudged the public sentiments on the issues?
No, far from that. As I intimated in my post, I have said that I'm a public person. I've been in leadership right from school to this level, and I'm grateful to the people of this country. Those Ghanaians who know me, my mates, back at the university know what I stand for. I had intimated that I am not the person who always, sits on Twitter. It's an account that is handled by somebody I've engaged. There was an earlier post I didn't even know about it. I got calls from friends all over drawing my attention, and I had to do what I had to do for them to pull it down and to issue an apology accordingly. So, but if you are somebody who has followed me throughout public life, I'm not a person or that type of person who use such language. So it is not characteristics of me. But be it as it may, I have intimated that we are serving public office and we are public officers. The real power that we wield comes from the people. And therefore, if at any point in time the people have a cause to worry, it's only fair and reasonable that we listen to them. I have been following social media. I've been reading comments about what Ghanaians are speaking to, and I think that we who find ourselves in leadership will have to rail our heads to them and listen and do what we can do to resolve the problem. I think for the first time, I haven't seen this extent or significant advocacy being shown on social media. I've been in this country for some time.
No, I mean,
now.
I'm pretty sure if you follow, there was Occupy Ghana, which started the same on social media and then mobilized onto the street. That was very massive as well.
This is my point of view. I am saying that this is so significant that I think that duty bearers and people who find themselves in authority will have to prick our ears and do what we have to do. But let me emphasize the point that I've read commentary and all the attacks on me. The earlier post is not something I put there personally. I don't do that. I don't use such words. And I have done what I have to do to let the public know that that is not something I did. But again, because it's my name that is associated, I have to take full responsibility. And that is why I came out to make that post and I apologize accordingly. But more to the point, I think all of us need to have a sober reflection and then also do what we have to do to be seen as, helping and dealing with the matter forthwith.
Okay, and because you're in leadership in Parliament, and of course you have a lot of people in government who listen to what you say. Do you think the government get it?
I don't get you.
I mean, do you think your friends in government, the president, the vice president, do they get the anger of the people as expressed on social media? Are they willing to listen? Do you get a vibe from them?
Well, to answer your question, specific to your question, I think yes, they get it. I've spoken to colleagues, and don't forget, as members of parliament, the majority, we also have a platform, and we discuss social issues, matters concerning the welfare of Ghanaians and the general governance of our country. If there is any president in this country who has shown a will to listen and also to respond to stimuli and calls by Ghanaians, President, His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo stand tall. So I think it's a question of time. I'm very confident that all of us, and here I'm not putting responsibility on any minister. I think that all of us in position of influence, all of us have a role to play to ensure that as a country we come atop this concern and deal with it. What is important is that we don't politicize these things. It becomes ugly when it looks like, okay, one political party is funding it, is pushing, is putting in all the coal. If we do that, we get it wrong. Then others will be coming in with defense. What we need to do is to go all out, speak to the issues, and I believe that if we do it with an objective mind of resolving problems, the protracted problems our country is facing, we will be seen to be making more progress than politicizing.
Yeah, and very finally, what do you think the best approach from government should be to this? Should the president, should the information minister speak to the issues that these people are raising, meet them, have a conversation of a sort, even now that a conversation around the protest is still gathering momentum? What do you think should be the best approach?
Well, I am very confident that some serious meetings will be ongoing. I'm very confident that the duty players will get to work. And if I say we'll get to where, doesn't mean they are sleeping. They are already working, but they may have to put in some steam or re-strategize to get it right. Because we must also accept that the power we wield today comes from a source. And the source of the power is the people. And so if the people are raising concern, it's only fair. And as I said, knowing who the president is, I'm confident. It's not about coming out to hold a press conference to say one or two things or responding to one thing or the other. But the overarching concerns being dealt with, and then the ministers, agencies responding more positively and more action-oriented, that is the way to go, but not necessarily coming out to speak. It's not just about speech. It's about action backed with a meaningful action that will achieve a desirable deliverables that we are all looking at.
Thank you very much, Arno Dompre, for your time here on Top Story. And of course, on Newsline, there's a related story on this also that we need to bring to your attention. And MFI is joining me with that. MFI, what's that?
And government has reduced fuel prices by 8 pesos per litre less than 24 hours after the 12% increment kicked in.
He's giving some 8 pesos relief to us on fuel prices, and these relief won't be taking effect effectively immediate, but most likely to reflect at the pump tomorrow.
We'll get to hear from COPEC, which was part of that crunch meeting with the energy minister. But the key question is how this reduction will help reverse a possible increase of transport fares and the general cost of goods and services. Also, horrific scenes as 15-member armed robbery gang lay siege at a cattle ranch in Adeso in the eastern region, slashing the throat of one person and shooting another in a Monday dawn raid. They made away with 20 cattle in 3 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter cargo vans.
A group of about 15 armed men attacked the farm and robbed off.
Ahmed Swale will hear from family of the slain journalists who are also unhappy about the slow pace of the investigations.
And in business, transport operators make a strong case for significant increase in fares to prevent some of their members from going down.
And I have some news on the NSMQ that's currently underway. And one-time winners, St. Thomas Aquinas, Chemu SHS and Ashaiman SHS qualify for the main 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz Championship scheduled for October.
There's a lot of preparation into this. That's why it's spinning.
I was watching drill and I even joined the maths quiz.
And we have the very latest for you from this NSMQ qualification phase. As of course, St. Thomas Aquinas set the tone for victory in the overall championships later this year. Is all live. MFR Power, what's your problem?
I must add, it's just the regionals.
Oh yeah. I'm saying I said we set the tone. What's your problem?
Which kind of tone?
There's a tone we've set.
Please take it easy.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. We have the details here on Newsnight. Please join us with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp 055 1111 997. You're surely watching on Facebook as well. You can leave